the Britannia Challenge Cup. Now this is Coxed Club 4s. On your left, you're looking at Vesta Rowing Club, and on your right, looking at Thames Rowing Club. Go. And we're underway, and this is the local derby here, Tom Morgan.
Quite literally local. They stare across each other from a narrow road in Putney, so they know each other intimately well. Thames on the right-hand side, Vesta on the left. Thames, probably in the last 10 years, have had the better of things. They have an astonishingly strong, both in terms of breadth and depth, men's and women's rowing programme. But Vesta on the rise. We've already seen one of their crews competing pretty impressively here in the last couple of hours. But Thames, I mean, their depth is astonishing. They're going to be in what looks like the semi-finals of the Y-fold, or the final of the Y-fold. They're going to be in the semi-finals of the Thames and looking to try and establish themselves in the final of the Brit. But Vesta very much still in this. This is, of course, the top-ranked crew from Vesta at Henley Royal Regatta this year. So it'll be 4 really, really strong athletes.
Yeah, and certainly this will be Vesta's top crew, but certainly not Thames's top crew. So this will be a really interesting matchup of where the strengths and depths lie between both programmes. And just, I know that Dan Byash in the Cox's seat for Vesta, he's going to be looking on to see that he can feel the blades of Thames Rowing Club. He sits there in the bows of Vesta, looking down towards the finish line, and that's very encouraging. He won't have to make anything up to tell Vesta just how close they are to Thames, and if they continue to hold this pace, this could be a really well-set race for the sprinting stages.
Yeah, those bow-loaded Coxed 4s are so interesting from the Cox's perspective. It's like being in a sports car that low to the ground. And you're right, Camilla, he won't need to make things up. He won't need to iterate where there is no need for iteration. He's going to be able to tell his boys, look, you can hear Thames, you can see Thames. This is a race that you can still win. And now we can't talk about the Remenham Roar because both clubs are part of the Remenham Club. So I'm sure they'll still be getting equal support, and you can hear it there in the background as they move towards us. But as the crews pan around, it looks like Thames are in control at this stage, and will certainly want to make sure that they continue to build on this momentum. They don't want the narrative of this race to turn.
Well, just a few kind of eyes out the boat there for Max Gillard in the bow seat for Thames Rowing Club. He's, I think, just keeping an eye on his blade, which in a Coxed boat, I don't know, you shouldn't be sort of focusing on that. You've got a Cox there to steer. Zoe Evans doing that job for Thames Rowing Club, so he should be confident to trust her with the steering, and eyes should be in the boat, because any movement that you get, Tom, that's going to upset your rhythm. Yeah,
100%. It's a strange one there from Max in the bow seat. You can hear the roar of the assembled supporters from Remenham Club there in the background, that white tentage, both for Vesta and for Thames. They know that this race isn't run. Thames there on the left-hand side, they do look a little bit ragged. I mean, they are still leading by just about clear water. You can see there again.
And I think I've just figured out why Max Gillard in the bow seat just keeps looking round. I think he's making some sort of calls to Ben Campbell-Reid in front of him. He just seems to be kind of, saying something. I'm not sure what, but they are now sort of shifting out back towards the centre of the river, and maybe that's why.
I suppose that's quite interesting, because in the bow-loaded Cox 4, the Cox, if you're in front, you can't see what's happening behind you, so you actually need that feedback through the crew. You need to know what's happening, and it might be he is literally communicating either with the people in front of him or the Cox behind him to tell Zoe Evans, this is where Vesta are, this is what I think we need to do. But it looks like Thames coming into the enclosures. They have clear water. They'll want, of course, to be more comfortable than this, but with half a length of clear water, this is Thames races to lose.
I think Dan Byash in the coxswain seat for Vesta now will just be wanting to reduce that deficit. If they can get any overlap whatsoever through into the enclosures, I think that will be a job well done for Vesta, much closer than they would have thought they might have been at this stage in the race. But the Cox there, Zoe Evans, trying to do exactly the same in her crew. That she'll be trying to push away, trying to keep that overlap at bay. And as she just kind of glances towards the booms and the piles, she's ensuring that those blades are placed perfectly as to not hit those. She will be starting to take her crew through their final stages of their race plan here, Tom.
Yeah, 100%. And I think race plan's a really interesting term. It's one that's underused in rowing and sometimes underutilised, but Thames looking like they're executing theirs to perfection. You can see there the Vesta Cox, Dan just calling his crew on. He's going to know that the water is running out, that the course, that Vesta's time in the Britannia Challenge Cup is running out if they don't take the rate up. But I think Thames in control here as they come down towards the enclosures.
Yeah, and Pat Harati in the stroke seat for Thames Rowing Club will just keep the pace as it is, and I think Vesta will be just shy of achieving that overlap that they would have ever so hoped for through into the stewards' enclosure. Still 10 or so strokes for them to try and do that, and as they run through in towards the line, it's going to be a win here for Thames Rowing Club in this Britannia Challenge Cup round. Vesta Rowing Club just with clear water back, but a really well held race there from Thames.